Good evening, everyone. Today is Tuesday, April 23rd, and the time is 6:34 p.m., and I'd like to call this meeting to order. First on our agenda is the consent agenda. First is minutes from April 9th, 2024. Questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'll take the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from April 9th, 2024.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is warrant 0063, which I'll send around in the folder from the folder shortly. Questions or comments on that? Hearing none, I'll take the motion.
I'll make the motion to approve warrant 0063.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next is visitors' comments. Any citizen wishing to speak before the committee must sign in with the administrative assistant prior to the opening of a regular session of the school committee. The visitor will identify themselves by name and address and shall speak for no longer than 3 minutes. For anyone unable to sign in ahead of time, we ask that you clearly state your name and address so that this information can be included in the record for the meeting. Being none, we'll move along. Cool.
Perfect. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you had a great break. I know I did. And I know I said there was a very little amount of information last time, but we had April break, so there's probably even fewer now. At East Meadow, students are getting ready for the final push of the year. As for the high school, everyone is finishing up ELA MCAS, and Math MCAS is starting in the next few weeks. There's a courtyard clean up going on, run by the student council over at East Meadow. Staff have also claimed certain flower beds out in the courtyard for summer programs they plan to run with students. For upcoming events at East Meadow, Ms. Desjardins detailed to me they were planning on painting a buddy bench for students to calm down with a friend if they ever need it. They have a spring fling dance Friday, May 17th, and the first week of May is Teacher Appreciation Week. At the high school, AP exams are scheduled within 3 weeks from now. MCAS is not finished. The civics pilot is still scheduled, Ms. Jordan told me. The civics MCAS, civics MCAS. The academic schedule has been created for the rest of the year and is going out to the staff. Arts Night is on May 16th. Students will show off their art for parents and visitors from 5 to 8 p.m. The Sunnies and Brownstone field trips are still both planned for 7th and 8th and 9th, respectively. At May 9th, there is also the Good Decision and Positive Actions for prom, as I mentioned that last time. And on April 29th, the Digital Skills Assembly. For community engagement, Ms. Bearden and Ms. Jordan are working on the CGN, or College Guidance Network, to support families on their students' journeys towards college, just to give their parents information that the student might need or is helpful to them. And Ms. Jordan detailed to me she'd like to send a thanks out to the community for all the hard work they've done with the Booster Club and all they've raised. She really harped on the idea when I met with her today that she's proud of the community we have here at Granby and all the effort everybody's been putting in. The newsletter, as I mentioned last time, still has opportunities for students to engage in if they want to do any summer programs. I actually checked it out today. There's lifeguard activities, different jobs, different programs. You can go to different colleges all over the country that may help for future years. Vivian Wells from the DCR, who was at our college fair a couple of weeks ago, we're aiming to do a partnership during school breaks to get lifeguard certification for free for all students who are willing. And I think that's about it.
Any questions or comments for Cole?
Well done. Thank you.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you, Cole.
So much.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Have a great one.
Thanks, you too. All right, next up is the superintendent and cycle review. We're doing this a little bit earlier, but we wanted to get it done before your departure. Take it.
And the election Okay, so it is in everyone's folder, and for anybody watching, when we post the meetings, we do post these documents as well. So, so I use a similar template that I've been using, and really just updated the mid-cycle review that was done in January. The second slide after the title slide is really just a review of the goals that were set this year. All these goals align well with the strategic plan that we put into action that we're implementing beginning this year, and the priorities set forth in that plan. Progress monitoring, using data, developing that instructional vision, using data to make our decisions, as I've mentioned before. We have a goal, student learning goal related to our IXL and DIBELS growth. And then the final professional practice goal was around the new superintendent induction program. The next slide goes to what our priorities are. Those were identified again in the strategic plan: fostering strong and positive relationships, meeting the needs of all students, supporting the development of powerful and engaging learning experiences for all students, using relevant data in our decision-making. We want to welcome, respect, and embrace diversity, provide training and support to our staff, and believe that everyone in the Granby Public Schools can grow, shift, and succeed under the right conditions and with the appropriate supports. The next slide is the focus indicators that were identified in the superintendent evaluation rubric that everyone should have a copy of from the mid-cycle session. And then I just kind of listed out some areas in need of improvement and or further exploration. So I always want to let everyone know that there's some areas that are in need of improvement and further exploration that I would also consider us on the right track. So some things are listed twice. I won't go through the whole list, but a couple areas. I think we've done a lot of work in terms of equity, diversity, and inclusion this year. I notified the committee in August or September that we had received a hate crime prevention grant. That grant has gone a long way towards training staff, listening sessions for students and staff, and you can start to see people. We just finished our second ADL, Anti-Defamation League, training with staff right before the break. And we're trying to equip teachers with the supports and resources that they need to have difficult conversations and dialogue when they come up in their class. It's about welcoming and belonging, not excluding anybody. And I think we've done some good work in this area, but I think that's certainly an area that we should continue that work moving forward. I had set up a process of 60-day improvement cycles. We tried it with the leadership team this year. The idea was that oftentimes I find, both in my experience as a teacher and then an assistant principal and principal, is that we're often thinking about setting our goals in the summer or September when we return to school, setting those goals, and then the year just takes over, and sometimes we lose track of what those goals may have been. This was an opportunity for the district leadership team to look at the district improvement plan and identify one or two goals. And then every 60 days, we've been tracking their action steps towards those goals, what they might need to do to recalibrate or adjust their path or their trajectory. And I think there's areas that this can be improved, but I think overall, I think the leadership team recognizes that the intent behind it is making sure that we're constantly reminded of those priorities and goals that we set early in the year, and not necessarily always moving for what might seem urgent in that moment. We spend a lot of time in our planning in the spring and summer for the school year, and sometimes what is urgent, an urgent need, a fire to be put out, takes priority over something that we spent so much time on identifying as an important step for us. And I think this process has helped reconnect us to those things. But it could certainly be refined, I think. Our data teams and data analysis continues to be a work in progress. We've taken some steps in the right direction. I think at both schools, we've seen some steps, and already we can see both schools making little tweaks to what they've identified in terms of either their process or how they're looking at data. I think that is a process that is probably never ending, that you're always coming back, you're always shifting and always tweaking, because you want to be able to best support your teachers and student needs when you look at that data. I think another area that has been we've identified over the past couple of years, and again, steps have been taken, but work to be done, is having a proactive and systemic approach to student supports. I think we've talked a lot, especially at the junior, senior high school, about tier 2 short-term, really focused tier 2 interventions and how they could support specific student needs. I think we could be better. We're better than we were, but we could continue to grow in places where we can identify the needs through data, address them through targeted, timed, and tracked interventions. And if those interventions aren't working, what's something else that we might try to better support that student? Another area where I think we've improved but have work to continue to do is diversifying our professional development. And in the past, I've said specifically for single subject teachers. I think that continues to be a challenge, but I think with the calendar that we've developed and some of the conversations that we've had in our instructional meetings, we've taken some real steps in a positive direction. Portrait of a Graduate work is really not taken off. The goal this year was really to just start to identify the team, although I think we have done a number of things that will contribute to that work down the line. The dual enrollment work, the innovation career pathway work, I think that all lends itself to that portrait of a graduate work. So while we haven't made as much progress as I might have hoped at the beginning of the year, we have made progress and will continue to work on that moving forward, as that is part of the strategic plan. I think another place, and you'll see in the next couple of slides some of our successes, but another place where we can continue to do some work is processes related to pursuing and procuring grants. I think this year in the past 3 years, really, we've gone after a number of grants, and sometimes we feel like the grant is a fit for our needs or it connects to our priorities, and we get to a place and then it feels like we're starting to have to fit a square peg into a round hole. And, I think really being thoughtful about the grants that we're pursuing and the planning process and the oversight of that, I think it's a place where we've definitely grown, and will continue to look to improve. And then I also listed the long-term plan for the junior senior high school facilities. Continues to be an area that warrants further exploration. In terms of successes or places where I feel like we've been on the right track, I'm really proud of the work around the Innovation Career Pathways designation that we received earlier this month. That work was done through a team that included administrators and teachers at the junior senior high school. That work also should set Granby up to receive some continuation grants for the next few years at least, to build partnerships, industry partnerships, hopefully develop a more robust internship process based in information technology. We've talked about a number of internship ideas that could come from this. I think students, once this continues to grow, and it'll grow year by year, so ninth grade students next year will start to be able to take one of the courses. So they'll start to learn about that through the scheduling process this year. But eventually it'll build up to having advanced courses that will be offered both here and through college and university partnerships. Another area, like I mentioned before, is the equity, diversity, and inclusion work, working to establish the bias incident response team, train staff. We've worked with Chartwells to include more culturally diverse meal options, reestablishing the equity team at the junior senior high school. They've brought back Wellness Wednesdays that are changing to Wellness Fridays. Even the repainting of the dinosaur late last year, this year, students talked about symbolizing that welcoming and that feeling of belonging. One of our goals was around IXL and Dibbles growth. We talked this year, while I don't have that data yet because we talked by the third assessment, which is later in May, students will have demonstrated at least 1 year's growth. The mid-year data shows clearly that students are making some really good progress. A majority of our students, the average and at each grade, majority of grades were on track to meet or exceed that goal. There were some grades and areas lagging behind. And we hope that the supports and things that we're implementing based on that data helps them potentially increase the growth that they've seen. I think the district-wide professional development calendar that we initiated this year has been a plus. It's a work in progress, but I think that benefits teachers when they have an idea of what to expect in professional development over the course of the year. And I think from the administrative perspective, it's allowed us to think about what our priorities, what our strategic priorities have been, and align training during those times to those priorities. I mentioned the 60-day goal cycle. I think that's an area where I think it's on the right track, but could be tweaked. TNTP math there's been a lot of work around math specifically. That's an area where I think we provided more support in professional development than I could have expected or thought we would have at the beginning of this year through this partnership with TNTP. And that partnership we're just finishing year 1, and it's a 3-year partnership. So really excited to see what fruit that bears. The other thing, another success, I think, and I've noted it in my end of cycle review in the past, is around our pursuit of grants. This is not an exhaustive list, but you'll see here, these are grants that we've either partnered with other districts or pursued and received on our own. But I don't have the number in front of me, but at least I would say over $100,000 just through the grants listed here has gone back to either our staff or students. And if you're asking my students, that last one, that high school senior internship and education we've talked about here before, allows us to pay seniors to support K-8 students either in academics or social emotional supports. We've really looked at those grade levels and worked with teachers and administrators to identify student needs and try to match up our seniors who are the best fit to support those needs. So those are just grants from this year. A couple of them are carryover grants from previous years. At our last meeting, the school committee voted to implement a new dual enrollment early college policy. So the review of that policy and those procedures, we've really now separated the policy from the procedures. We've done that in a couple of places this year that I think operationally that has been very helpful for us. And then I am scheduled to complete year 3 of the youth superintendent induction program in mid-May. That was one of the goals. So the next couple slides are really just each of the 4 standards and evidence, artifacts of evidence that aligns to each of those standards. And certainly some of the evidence could be for multiple standards, but just so the committee had a list of some of the things that would connect to the work in those areas.
Thank you for all that and all of your hard work. Any questions or comments on Stephen's presentation? Thank you.
I know it's hard to capture everything that's happening and kind of reflect on what's going well and what might be more challenging in order to kind of keep moving forward. And so I again appreciate the format, appreciate the conversation. And then in terms of the next steps for the end of cycle review, we can certainly talk about what that will look like to kind of compile information.
So he put in the evaluation rubric 23, 24 each, save a copy. This is where I fail with Google because I don't.
Well, this is it should have forced a copy. It did when I opened it, so that should be your own copy.
Yep.
You can change the title too. And then
So like only you have access to that now?
Okay.
Because in the link, I set it up so when you open it, it opens your own.
To the desk.
Oh.
Because I have to save.
gotcha.
Yeah.
I've been thinking that it would do it
I
automatically.
was like, I don't know if this will overwrite or delete. So I'm just gonna save it to the desktop, type it. I got
Oh,
to
did you?
email.
Yeah.
That works too.
Okay. We just need to decide when. So when is our next meeting? It's 2 weeks, right?
It's May 7th. May 7th.
So, Jill, are you willing to compile them?
Yeah, I can.
So do you want it by next week? So you have a week to do it?
So our meeting's May 7th, as long as I have it by May 3rd.
We'll get everything to Jill for May 3rd.
You want me to put, I can just put like a reminder in everyone's calendar for
That'd be great.
May 3rd. Sure.
And so, yeah, after you've gone through that rubric, if you just want to email it to me, and then I'll go through and kind of like calculate all the averages and put in all the comments and do all those pieces again.
Here. Any additional comments or anything on this? All right. Thank you.
Of course. Thank you.
Next up, superintendent search. That feels weird.
Yes.
So, I reached out to the people who were randomly selected to fill out the in committee roles from our different stakeholders. We have set our first meeting for a week from today. And we will go over expectations, establish a schedule, and criteria. We have a number of applicants already, so we can begin the process. We'll have things ready for people to start to review and start to narrow our selections.
So April 30th. So we should, at our next meeting, we'll have another update. I mean, you guys will be in process, but we'll keep this just living in the agenda.
Yeah. Anything for us to take back?
I guess I don't know. I have to stop and think about it. Anything for anybody else for the for the committee? I know you guys will do great.
Done this time now.
Should we decide on a number?
We did. We said no more
than four. That's what, okay.
to come to full.
I knew we had discussed it. I wasn't sure.
So that no more than four will be open for us for like the final round of interviews, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we'll hear more at our next meeting. Good luck to you guys for the first round of screening. Okay, next up we have our work groups. We have budget and finance, and also community relations for Mike and I, and then policy for Jill and George. It's 6:59, well, 7:00. Half hour, do you need more or less?
That's fine.
Is a half hour good for us for finance?
Think so. Yeah.
And
I think so.
tailing into that, just like how to get
Yep.
people out and all of that. All right, so we'll break for 30 minutes. Great. All right. Some great discussion that we just had. You guys want to go first?
Are you back up?
We can.
Sure.
Do you want to talk?
I can give it a go. We made some progress reviewing section B, getting near the end of it. There noticed a lot of formatting, like as far as terminology being used that's maybe more clean or proficient, and in some cases specific, like shalls versus wills or what should. And so that should be ready sooner rather than later. And then I'm going to start looking at what the more recent like notifications of updates are for the rest of the policy part and take a crack at that.
It is have fee, and then was there another one? We voted on the one, right? We don't have anything else for.
Yeah, there's nothing. Well, we were working on being next and then see.
Awesome. All right. Budget. You want to give it a go, Mike?
Well, we talked about the upcoming town meeting and brainstorm some ideas that we could provide additional value to the community to offset the cost to supplement our budget. There's some great ideas with alternative energy plans. Maybe we'll reach out to the planning board about it to get the ball rolling on that. But it would be a nice way to supplement our budget to show the community that we don't just expend the resources that we're given, but we also contribute financially in addition to what we're provided.
All right. Any questions? Okay. And that budget and finance and community relations was kind of an all-encompassing conversation. All right. Next up, to superintendent.
Two quick ones. Cole already took one. He mentioned the PTO Spring Fling Dance. It is Friday, May 17th, 5:30 to 7:30 here at East Meadow. It is $5 per person. And this Friday, April 26th, is the last day to purchase tickets because they have a capacity. They need to make sure that they're working within their means. So there will not be tickets available at the door. So if you're watching and interested, please purchase your tickets before this Friday, April 26th. I also wanted to let the community know, after having been through it with school committee and the select board, that Granby's statement of interest was submitted to the Massachusetts School Building Authority for a building project at Granby Junior Senior High School prior to the April 12th deadline. And again, this does not mean that there is a project imminent. It is essentially an application to show that we are interested in. And then we've typically worked with MSBA around whether or not they're ready to invite the junior senior high school into a project. And if they are willing to invite the project in, is there an appetite in town to move that forward? So this is just the initial step, but that was submitted about 2 weeks ago. And that's all I had today.
All right. Okay.
So updated on our budget process for the town meeting. And did that in subcommittee, talked about some reserve requests that we are potentially making regarding some unanticipated costs, particularly around facilities in the two buildings. And then we are going to have one last walkthrough with the engineers tomorrow to start to make the final preparations for bid documents and getting everything drawn up and ready to go for the construction phase of the kitchen next door. So an update today from them, and so I'll be meeting with them tomorrow.
Questions or comments? All right. Nope. I don't have anything for CES. The next meeting is actually May 29th. So just to kind of keep that. So we'll have to do that first meeting after the election in
21st.
21st. So when we reorganize, the committee will have to make sure they have a new CES process, but they can vote on.
Probably an opportunity to mention to anybody who's watching who might be interested in being a write-in candidate for the school committee. There are open seats. If you are interested, you can certainly reach out to me, one of us. And Kelly Regan has mentioned to me if we know of anyone who's interested in being a write-in candidate to let her know as well.
All right. Anything else as far as scheduling for our next meeting?
We'll have the evaluation. Enrollment dashboard.
Church. That's your last meeting. Thanks, everybody. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Vote to enter into executive session under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, Part A3, to discuss strategy with regard to collective bargaining, as doing so in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the team. The committee will not return to open session. Do a roll call, please?
Mr. Balky?
Aye.
Mr. Durham?
Aye.
Ms. Pelletier?
Aye.
Ms. Bartos?
Aye. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.